Sierra here from Manic Trout, where I am the designer, maker, owner, everythinger of the jewelry line Manic Trout. If you have not been here before, on Fridays at 1 p.m. I go live. I love to share behind the scenes, stories of the brand, talk about different things that come up, like the design process, and of course, because this is jewelry and fashion, I also talk about style. So I am talking about something that's very exciting to me today. I'm going to talk about color. And as color is such a huge topic, I keep alluding to the fact that I'm going to talk about color in one of these episodes. But when I actually sit down to talk about it, I realize that color is so many episodes, not one episode. So I'm going to start bringing in multiple episodes that have things about color in them. And what I want to talk about today is kind of like the seasonal and trending colors. So a few years ago, the brilliant company Pantone, who for many years in the design world, and when I say the design world, I mean more like the graphic design world, they are the ones that would put out the little chips of color that had specific, you can actually, like if you plug the variants of red, green, and blue, it comes up with the exact same color. So when you are in design and you are, let's say, designing like a poster or nowadays a website, things like that, that is the way that if you use, for example, Pantone in this case, their color number, blah, 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 and the same person who is in charge of printing it puts those coordinates in, you get the exact same color, because color with light and, see, this is why, color with light and color with pigment are done actually different ways. So when you are going from, let's say, designing on a computer screen to printing out, the colors can change. So many years ago, Pantone became the most brilliant marketers ever, and they started talking about what the color of the year and the color of the seasons were. So it's become sort of the trade secret of designers to look at what the forecast for the colors of the next season, which are determined by the trade shows and the fashion shows and the things that go on kind of to the trade that now you can see more and more of. And then Pantone releases the colors so that everybody knows what's coming. So what do these colors mean? Basically, they're saying, hey, these are the most prevalent colors that we saw on the runways, in the trade shows, things like that. So a lot of products are going to be designed with them. This goes beyond fashion. This is also for home goods, paper goods. You know, basically you walk into a store, you're going to see whatever the Pantone color of the year is represented on multiple products. So it's a really cool thing, and people get very excited when the colors are released for the year. So let me show you an example. So they actually now do two sets of colors, which I kind of missed. They do like the New York and the Paris and maybe London soon. So like this is what the fall colors for Pantone are going to be. So these are the colors that you're going to see that are trending this fall in fashion. You're probably starting to see them in stores now. So I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about what this means to you and I when we're getting dressed. Now, I've talked about in a few of these episodes, the older I get, the more I wear almost like a uniform for going to work and things like that. And for those of you that work in offices, I'm sure you feel kind of the same way, that you have a lot of separates that you can mix and match, and that you're not replacing, you know, we're not in our 20s, we're not going out, and some of you may be into fast fashion. I personally am not. I really dislike going clothing shopping. I like to know certain brands. I like to shop online. So I started a brand online. I find it convenient. And I really enjoy buying things that are not going to go out of style, that will last a long time, so that I know I'm not having to go out and look for them over and over every year. You know, we're all different shapes. It's hard to find clothes that fit you all the time. Different seasons, different styles are in, things like that. So as I've talked about, one of the reasons why I design jewelry is because I love the impact that jewelry can make on updating and making your classic pieces look a little more fun. And I'm not a person that chases trends. I don't really believe in dressing in everything that's out there trending. Again, that skews a little younger. But I do enjoy picking up a few pieces every season to make it look like I'm kind of relevant. You know, I have a girlfriend that does, she gives like talks and lectures, and she says whenever she's going to give a talk, she likes to make it look like she's paying attention and relevant to kind of the times. So I find that jewelry and accessories are a wonderful way to do that, so that you are, you know, current and staying on top of some of what is going on. So like I said, when the colors are released, you basically know that when you walk into a store, these colors are going to be there. we don't all look good in all colors. That is for sure. I mean, there are definitely colors that each of us look horrible in, and colors that make our skin glow and our smiles look even better. And those colors are not the same from person A to person B. So it does not mean that you would want to drape yourself from head to toe in all of these colors. But it's kind of a nice way to say, okay, if I'm going to go out and get a few new things this season, I'm going to get them all like in this kind of section of colors. For example, you know, there's always the rainbows mostly represented. It just sometimes, let's say the red would be more orangey, and sometimes the red would be on the more blue side, and sometimes the blues are lighter, sometimes darker, but there's usually a pretty good spectrum. This fall palette is actually not as autumn as traditionally it can be. There seem to be a lot of like there is an orange over there, and the green is on the more olive side, but it still is a pretty fresh and bright palette. So what I kind of think of when a season is coming up is that I know I have the basics. Some would go as far to say, if you have a work wardrobe, to kind of go and like keep it within like 6 or 7 colors or 5 colors, and then everything mixes and matches. I don't do that. I love color. I wear a lot of colors. I wear a lot of patterns. So it would be more like, oh, when fall is coming, I know, for example, that I tend to go into the burgundies and things like that. Those colors look very good on me. I cannot wear a mustard yellow to save my life, for example. So if I were going to go with, let's say, burgundies, then I would know that I would want to pick up some accessories that would complement them or something like that. And it's, you know, I may be making this seem like it's much more complicated than it is. It's not that complicated. It's just kind of knowing by looking at the Pantone colors what's coming out. So here's a really fun thing that I wanted to do. We have the colors. There are 10 colors. I have assigned to each of the 10 colors a necklace that goes with it, or a piece of jewelry. That way you kind of can see what I'm talking about. So the first one is grenadine, which you can, if you've ever had a Shirley Temple, imagine that it is that, that cherry reddish, but not like a crimson-y cherry, more like a bright cherry red. And for that, I have the Homme Bling Ring, which is right here. So that is bright cherry. Great way to add color, great way to say, you know, oh, I know I'm going to be wearing a lot of reds like this, or I know that I'll be wearing, you know what, this is another great example. Often the Pantone colors, they play well together, so you know that you can mix those colors. So like if you know you're going to be wearing like a shaded spruce and a natural gray in something, you know that like this red ring is going to complement it very well, that kind of thing. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to make this more complicated than it is, but I really enjoy talking about color, so we'll just go with it. All right, so grenadine, that's the first color. That's the bright reddish, and that, the Homme Bling Ring, goes with that. The Homme actually is one of the very few pieces in Manic Trout that has rose gold as a potential metal finish as well. The next color on the list is a tawny port. Now, as your brain, I'm sure, pops into, they use great names. The names associate very well with the colors, and tawny port is like a very rich wine color like that, like burgundy. Burgundy that I personally love. I know that I will be wearing a lot of that color this fall. So for the tawny port, I actually have to look at my cheat sheet here because nothing is in order. I have the Stars in Motion pieces. This is with a, I'm going to bring it up here, red howlite, and it is long. So this is a color that you're going to see a lot this season. So you know that something like this will make you look very kind of current and, you know, in the palette of the season. So those are pretty stones. There's also a bracelet that goes with this and earrings. So you have options for that. So that's a great long piece in kind of the fall spectrum that will be coming out. The next one is ballet slipper, and ballet slipper, again, great association. It is that pale, beautiful pink, which is the color of rose quartz. And we all know I love rose quartz here at Manic Trout, so you have a few options, but my favorite is the pink frost necklace with the wonderful cat and those big freeform pink or rose quartz pink stones. Look at how beautiful that is. So this is such an interesting color for fall too, and it makes you think like, okay, they're pushing more non-traditional colors. That's kind of cool, but it also means, because those colors were seen on the runway, which if we all saw The Devil Wears Prada, trickle-down effect, you'll see that in all of the stores across all the board. So pink will actually be in this fall. And I still have an issue kind of going non-traditional with a seasonal color, so I will keep pink to my accessories. Like a pink scarf would be great in the winter to add to, like, you know, your clothing that way. And that's a wonderful accessory piece to add in without going like full on Pepto-Bismol, although ballet slipper is lighter than Pepto-Bismol, but you know, without going like head to toe bubblegum pink, you add little splashes of it and then you look very kind of relevant and current without going crazy, you know, with the head to toe. So the next color is Butter Rum, which, oh, I have a thing up there, which makes me always think of those little hard candies that my grandmother had, you know, because actually butter rum, like hot buttered rum, if any of you ever gone there, don't do that. Maybe some of you like it. I was not a fan of that, but the color on the other hand is a lovely color. It is like a creamy, like a maple candy look would also be how I'd think of this. As usual, I'm associating all colors with candy because I just can't help myself. So for the Butter Rum, I actually have the River Trap necklace because the chocolate agate has a lot of that color in there with its variety of color. So this is, and I'm kind of pulling the more traditional, the dark brown of fall, because it's just so beautiful and you can't help but think of that color when it comes to that season. So that's kind of a way to achieve that color. The next color is Navy Peony, and let me tell you, those are two of my favorite words because peonies are my favorite flower. I don't think I've ever seen a Navy Peony. Do those actually exist? I'm not sure, but now we can wear it in our jewelry. So Navy Peony, what have I gone with on this? Oh, one of my favorites, Sodalite. So Sodalite has a lot of the Navy Peony in it with a few other colors. The lighter blues, the whites, and I have it with a shark in the Between the Waves necklace. Now, Trouties, remember, besides being able to make things longer and shorter, if you love the Sodalite and you don't love the shark, you just let me know. We can swap different animals out. I sometimes have animals that are currently not in the collection that I can use instead of that as well. And recently, one of the Trouties asked for this stone all the way around with no animal and in silver, and it looked lovely, so that's an option too. Always remember that. I am not a fan of just the animal. I love the gemstones equally. I have no problem with removing the animal if that's not your taste. All right, so now we move on from the Navy Peony, and next we go to the neutral gray. No brainer there. I think that what did I go with? I think that I went with more of a blacker one because Labradorite has the gray in it as well. So I went with the Out of the Shadows with the cicada. These guys are out in force this year. Again, they dive bomb the window in my studio at night. I feel like somebody is attacking me. And every time I talk about them in Texas, I'm told I am saying it wrong. So down here it's cicada, or I actually use the Spanish way to pronounce it, which I'm not going to try to do because I don't remember it. It's like, we won't try that. But it looks lovely on a necklace where it can't dive bomb your window. And that Labradorite is gorgeous. Look at that flash. There's a little bit of blue in there, but it has the neutral gray. And again, the blacks, the browns, things like that, the burgundies, classic for fall and winter, any year. Who cares what the trend color is? Those always, always work. The next is Shaded Spruce. And that is like a nice blue with a little bit of green in it, but not enough to really make it turquoise. But I did go with a necklace that kind of has turquoise in it. And I went with the Picture Me necklace with the peacock. Okay, and this, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is Jasper, I believe. And that is a great representation of the Shaded Spruce. So when I think of like these colors being mixed in with your staples in your wardrobe, I think of putting them with like a navy suit and a white blouse. So you're wearing your very classic pieces. You're wearing, you know, your black pants and your camel sweater that you have invested in and you wear every fall delightedly. By adding something, and it may already be hanging in your closet or the necklace may already be in there, but just by adding in a color that you know is in kind of the trending seasonal, sometimes when you do those things, it just gives you a little confidence to know, like, I got this, like, I'm on my A game. We're women. We like to look pretty for ourselves and each other. There's no harm in that. I like to be pulled together. I like to know that I kind of like, that's why I wear lipstick and things like that. There's no shame in that. So I am now going to move on because I sometimes make these really long and this could be a subject that I could talk forever on. I'm going to move on to Golden Lime. Now, this is almost a little more olive than the glass in the First Light necklace. I don't really have anything that is the exact golden lime color. I tend to go more olive or more bright, but this is a great example of a lime. Although I would say that this, if you were going to do this for fall, because this is a very summery necklace, you absolutely could. But I would put that kind of like how this is, like over a turtleneck. So you're showing it when you're wearing it with like a thicker, more cold, Texas, we don't really get that cold down here, but you know, you want to go with more of the fall textures if you're going to pair this with something. Like if you put this like with a white blouse, it's instantly going to look summery. So think about that. If you are using things that traditionally are more summery colors, like turquoises and things like that, make sure that your textures and fabrics. And there's another episode that I talked about that, the episode about changing your clothes over for the seasons. If you're kind of wanting to know more stuff about that, and while I go on on that subject, give that episode a listen. We are now going to move on to the, Marina. I love this color. Again, this is a very spring color. It's kind of an odd one for the fall season. So I'm excited that it's going to be here for fall because I love this color. I'm very smitten with it. I have chosen, I'm going to take this off the bus because you can't see the color. I have chosen the Betty, I think it's the Betty Parfait Triage necklace. So like the bottom blue is the Marina. Isn't that an interesting color for fall? But again, such a striking color to really set off. Like imagine this with like a nice cranberry color, like the tans, things like this. It's such a great statement piece. I love this. This is one of the very few that I've done that is beaded because I really wanted it to be just massive color. And it can lay flat and it can kind of twist a little bit if you want. You can kind of go a few ways with it, but I'm excited about Marina. I think that's the color I'm the most excited about. I like blues, I do. All right, and the last color is Autumn Maple. And here we go with our very traditional fall color. And I have the BB Endless Memory necklace. And that is, I'm sure, exactly what you think of the falling leaves, the crisp crunch underfoot. They're about to have people walk into my house, so we may get interrupted and I'm going to close it up. But thank you for joining me today. I again am Sierra from Manic Trout. You can follow along on the Facebook page by clicking on my neck with the necklace up there. You can find, there's the dog, everything at manictrout.com. I'm Manic Trout on Instagram. And I will see you next Friday at 1 p.m. Central here at Facebook. Thank you.